So when I first started to get interested into like fitness and trying to build muscle and trying to build physique I was actually proud of, I quickly realized, thanks to the numerous YouTube videos that I watched, that there was a difference between maximizing strength and maximizing muscle. So I heard different terms like powerlifting versus bodybuilding, power building, and all those different terms. And I just realized, yeah, okay. So there's strength training, but then there are different categories. There's weightlifting, there's powerlifting, and then bodybuilding, and all those different categories have different aims. But a mistake that I made is that I totally started to go into this full mindset that okay, yeah, to build muscle, if your aim is bodybuilding, you shouldn't think about gaining strength at all. You shouldn't think about gaining strength. You should just focus on gaining muscle. But a realization that wait a minute, I'm gonna. But a realization that I recently, no, not really recently, I would say around a few months ago, I recently got is that if you want to build muscle, you need to get stronger. You need to get stronger uh, on the exercise that you perform regularly. Of course, training for bodybuilding, isn't about maximizing strength. But if you aren't gaining muscle consistently on the exercise you perform, then you're doing something wrong. And you're not gonna magically see your muscles grow. Because of course, more muscle mass doesn't necessarily mean that you're stronger. But how can I explain it? There is a correlation to a certain level between muscle mass and strength because there's a difference between powerlifting and bodybuilding. But at the end of the day, they're still fairly similar. And of course, you shouldn't. If your goal is bodybuilding, don't go and train fully like a powerlifter. If your goal is powerlifting, don't go and full train like a bodybuilder. But they are fairly similar. They aren't extremely different. There's a difference, but they aren't extremely different. And if you aren't gaining strength at all, then you can't expect to build muscle. I used to think you could get bigger without getting any stronger. So when I was plateauing for months on my training and I wasn't progressively overloading at all, I still thought, yeah, I'm slowly building muscle even though I'm not getting strength. But that was just stupid because you need to be progressively overloading if you want to build muscle. You can't expect to build muscle without progressively overloading. And that's a big mistake that I actually made. And it caused me to actually plateau for months. I spent months not really progressing, thinking to myself, yeah, I just need to keep training and I will magically build muscle without gaining any strength. But when I look back, it just doesn't make any sense. Because that's not how it works. To build muscle, you need to be consistently progressively overloading. Because progressive overload doesn't build muscle, but it's a sign that you're actually building muscle. It's a sign that you're gaining stronger and your muscle cells are getting bigger. So if you aren't progressive overloading, you're doing something wrong. And that's something I needed to realize a few months ago. Because I stayed there, I was plateauing for months, but I didn't make a change because I just thought to myself, yeah, I'll somehow progressively overload without gaining any strength. Or somehow, sorry, build muscle without gaining any strength. You can't expect to see progress if you aren't progressively overloading. You can't expect your biceps to get bigger if your bicep curl numbers aren't going up. You can't expect your quads to get bigger if your squat numbers aren't going up. You just can't. And if you look at powerlifters, of course their training isn't optimized for muscle growth, but a lot of them are still very, very muscular because they're getting so much. They put so much focus into getting stronger on the exercise they perform. So of course you shouldn't train like a powerlifter if your main goal is bodybuilding. But there's a few things you can learn from them. And one thing is that you need to consistently get stronger. You need to progressive overload. You need overload doesn't build muscle, but it's an indicator that you are building muscle, that your muscle cells are getting bigger. So if you aren't progressively overloading, you need to make a change. You can't sit there like I was, thinking to yourself, oh yeah, I'm not progressively overloading, but I am building muscle because building muscle and getting stronger aren't correlated, aren't linked, aren't don't have anything to do with each other. They do. So there may be different things holding you back from progressive overloading. It's mostly between these three things: training, recovery, and diet. So training, you might just be doing too much volume, or so in rare cases, too little volume, or you might just be training with very light intensity. You might not just not be training hard enough, or you might your exercise selection might just be whack or dumb, or you might just be using bad form. You might just be training with bad form. You might be utilizing half reps. So there are many different factors that can hold you back or make progressive overloading impossible. Recovery, you might just not be sleeping enough. If you're sleeping for 5 hours a night, or 4 hours a night, or 3 hours a night, then of course you're not going to be progressively overloading. So you need to be taking your sleep seriously. Diet, it could just be that you're eating horrible food, but a lot of time it could just be that you're not eating enough, because you can still build muscle whilst eating very unhealthy. It isn't optimal, definitely. I wouldn't recommend it, but you still can. So most of the time, if it's diet and you're not progressively overloading because of your diet, it's mostly because you're not eating enough. You might be cutting right now, or you might be trying to maintain. But in some cases, yeah, you can maintain, but in some cases you can't, and can be, or even if you can, it can be very slow. Right now, I am somewhat maintaining, so I'm not bulking right now, and I'm still building strength and muscle. But it would still be more optimal for me to actually bulk. So I'm gonna start bulking in not so long. It's just that right now my focus is on other things, but the bulk will probably start very soon. So you have to just find what it is. It could be your training, it could be your recovery. Are you sleeping enough? Are you training hard enough? Are you training smart? Is your exercise selection good? Are you doing too much volume or too little volume? It could be different things, which you have to find out. You have to find out. Are you bulking, or are you eating enough? Or are you cutting whilst trying to build muscle? So it's always one of those three things: training, recovery, or diet. Or sometimes it's just all of them, or just two things at the same time that you have to find out. But if you aren't progressively overloading, if you aren't consistently gaining strength and getting stronger at the exercise you perform, then of course you aren't gonna see any progress. You aren't gonna build muscle. Can't expect your triceps to be bigger if you aren't progressively overloading on tricep pushdown. Because sometimes some people understand this concept of progressively overloading, and they just think, okay, I have to progressively overload on my compound exercises, but it doesn't matter on my isolation exercises. No, same thing on the small isolation exercises. You still need to progressively overload on tricep pushdown. You still need to progressively overload on bicep curls, on calf raises if you want your calves to get stronger and bigger. It progressively overload doesn't only apply to big compounds. It also applies to small isolation exercises. So just understand this truth. If you aren't gaining strength in your main exercise, in your exercise, the exercise you perform for a certain muscle group, if you're trying to grow your biceps, the exercise that you do for biceps, you need to get stronger at that. If it's barbell curls, you need your weight on barbell curls needs to go up for you to see a difference. So yeah, That's all I have to say here. If you're, I hope you found this video valuable. If you're interested in my fitness coaching, then you can go and click the first link in the description. Don't worry from discomfort, chase it.